This is another chapter in the ongoing saga of yoyomax12 trying to make the perfect macaron. Behold the chocolate macaron with Nutella Ganache.
Let's see what's cooking. It's time for Yo-Yo Max 12.
Hello, everyone. Now, for those of you that have been following me for a while, you'll know that I am on the quest to make the perfect macaron cookie. And the ones I made in the past were very pretty, but they were a little bit hollow inside. So I decided to do a little research, and a lot of websites suggest that you weigh your ingredients rather than measuring them in cups. And for many of you, you'll know that that is actually the most accurate way to measure when you're baking. Now, just around this time, completely coincidentally, I get an email from vanityplanet.com asking me if I want to review their Chef's Circle digital kitchen scale. So they sent me this scale for free for me to try out and to tell you about what I think of it. It comes in 4 different colors, and I asked for a yellow one because I liked that color. It's made of glass on the top. What you do is you flip it over, and underneath there's a little battery compartment. It comes with a battery already in it. All you have to do is pull a little plastic tab out and you're ready to go. Now, this particular scale, it turns on with a button on the front, and what it does is it measures in pounds, it measures in ounces, kilograms, and grams, and all you have to do is hit that unit button to switch between them. It measures up to 15 pounds, which is more than enough for stuff that you're going to do in your kitchen. And what's great is that you can change your units from the front of the scale, because I've seen some scales where you have to actually flip it over and do it from the back. So this is a lot easier. So to measure with this scale, all you do is put your bowl on the scale, and this bowl weighs about 258 grams. Now, you don't want that bowl weight when you're measuring clearly, so all you have to do is put your container on the scale, hit the tar button, or tare, I'm not sure how you say that, T-A-R-E, I've never known how to say that. All it does is it zeroes out your scale, so it removes the weight of the bowl from the total measurement, so you're actually getting to measure what you want to measure. Now, the first ingredient I'm measuring out is 110 grams or 3.85 ounces of ground almonds or almond flour. And I just sifted it right into the bowl. It worked out really well. And you're going to set that aside. The next one you're going to measure is 200 grams or 7 ounces of powdered sugar, also called confectioner sugar. And the funny thing about this recipe, it asks you to measure 200 grams and then remove 2 tablespoons from the total, and you just put those 2 tablespoons back in the container. Not quite sure why they do this, but that's what the recipe asks for. And as you can see, the scale, to clean it, all you have to do is just clean it with a damp cloth. You can't submerge it, of course, in the sink, but that's the same for all scales. Now, you'll also need some egg whites. These are room temperature egg whites. You'll need about 2 large eggs worth. That's 90 grams, about 3.05 ounces. It took me about 2¼ eggs, I'd say, to get to that amount. A little bit of granulated sugar, 1.1 ounces or 30 grams. And then I put that almond flour in a big bowl, added the powdered sugar. And then I added 2 tablespoons of cocoa powder. And all you have to do is just blend that together well. You can even sift all these ingredients together if you'd like. So once your dry ingredients are well combined, set that aside, and we're going to move on to the next step. And that is to beat up the egg whites. So in a large bowl of a stand mixer, you're going to place the egg whites that you've measured out. Now, my egg whites were at room temperature, but they were not aged. This recipe calls for aged egg whites, but I have read in different recipe websites that it doesn't really matter if they're aged or not. These are right out of the fridge, just allowed to come to room temperature, and it worked pretty good. So you're going to beat these until they're frothy, which means they're all bubbles with no more liquid in the bottom. And when you get to that point, add in the white granulated sugar. And then turn your mixer up to high, and you're going to continue to beat these until you get glossy white stiff peaks in your egg whites. And it says not to overbeat, so keep checking until you get stiff peaks and then stop. Now I'm adding in this dry ingredients all at once, and I have read on different recipes you can add them in a little at a time, half at a time. This recipe says put them all in, so that's what I did. Now comes the process of folding in the dry ingredients. This is called the macaronage, and it is the most important part of the recipe. A lot of recipes say to fold it in about 40 to 50 folding gestures. So I decided to count mine to see how many I actually did. And for me, it took about 45 folds to get to texture that I thought was appropriate. Now what you're looking for is something that looks like this. It looks kind of like lava slowly flowing out of a volcano. And if you don't know what that looks like, then just go online and check out a YouTube video. It basically just flows slowly off the spoon, and when it lands back down into the bowl, after a couple of minutes, it kind of blends back in with the stuff in the bottom. So once you get the texture that you like, then you're going to put it in a piping bag with a round tip, or you can just use a Ziploc bag with the corner cut off, and then you're going to pipe it onto a cookie sheet that's covered with a silicone mat or parchment paper. Now you can make these large or small. I made very tiny little ones because I like that size, and try to make them about the same size and put them about 2 inches or about 1.5 inches apart on the cookie sheet because they do spread a little bit. So once they're all piped on, take your cookie sheet and wrap it 5 or 6 times very firmly on your countertop. This is going to cause them to spread out a little bit, and it'll also remove that little curly-Q little pointy thing that was caused when you were piping them onto the cookie sheet. Then you're going to let them sit and rest between 15 minutes to an hour, depending on how humid your kitchen is. Let them rest until you touch them and they feel dry to the touch so that nothing comes off onto your finger. That forms a little skin over the top, and that is what's going to make or break your cookie. You want to make sure you don't skip that step. Then you're going to bake them at 300 degrees Fahrenheit for about 17 to 22 minutes. In my oven, the perfect timing was 18 minutes, and mine is on a silicone mat with an insulated cookie sheet. Basically, you want to bake them until when you wiggle the top of the cookie, it won't jiggle around. It'll feel like it's firmly attached to the base. And here's one when I broke it open, and we have virtual perfection. It's full right from the bottom to the top. Couple little big spaces inside there, but I certainly would not call this hollow. I would call that almost the perfect macaron. I was really, really happy with the way these turned out. So I'm really happy I decided to use the weighing process because it seemed to work the best. Now for the Nutella Ganache, I'm placing 2 ounces of semi-sweet chocolate in a bowl. I poured 1/4 cup of hot whipping cream over top. Allowed that to sit for a couple of minutes and then stirred it until the chocolate was all melted and you get something that's nice and smooth. And then I stirred in 1/4 cup of Nutella. And then simply blended that in until that was smooth. And I put it into a piping bag to pipe onto the macaron cookies. This will firm up quite a bit when it's refrigerated. Then you take one of your little cookies, put some of the filling on it, and then top it with another cookie, and that is a completed macaron. Now put this in a sealed container, put it in the refrigerator for several hours or overnight, and the filling will firm up, and the cookies will be awesome. Now, if you've never had a macaron cookie before, basically they have kind of a crispy outer coating. When you bite through that, it's got a chewy inside, and then you have whatever filling you want in the center. Some of you might notice that they're a little bit bumpy on the top. Now, the ground almonds that I used this time were from the Bulk Barn, and I found them a little bit too coarse. So either I'm going to have to regrind that particular brand, or I'm going to have to try to find a finer grind of almond flour. But it worked out pretty good anyway. So ultimate end result and conclusion is that kitchen scale is a great way of measuring ingredients to make macaron. It's the most accurate way. This particular kitchen scale from Vanity Planet worked very well, and I was happy with it. And thanks to Vanity Planet and their kitchen scale, I'm going to be able to provide grams and ounces to my international viewers because it's so easy to switch between the two. It won't be any problem at all in the future. Now, if you're looking to buy a kitchen scale, you can buy them at hardware stores, at your local department store, and online. And right now, vanityplanet.com's got a special going on this particular scale. So if you use the coupon code and the link in the description box below this video, you can get a really great deal on this scale. Go check it out. Now, if you've made it all the way to the end of this very long 10-minute YouTube video, thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. I have other macaron videos on my channel, including these green tea macaron. And if you're not subscribed to my channel, I promise you they're not all 10-minute videos. There are some shorter ones in there. Go ahead and click on that big red button, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.